Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. Thank you for watching. Today's video, we're going to talk about this family that perished for trying to be survivalist or living off the grid. So, a family in Colorado, 2 women and a boy, if I'm not mistaken, were found dead. Their decomposing bodies were discovered by a hiker, if I'm not mistaken, walking through the woods, sees a tent. I think he sees the first body that's outside of the tent, decomposed, and of course, you figure out the rest. I'm not sure if he looked in, but he called authorities. Authorities, they get there, they look inside the tent, and then they see 2 more decomposing bodies. Now, the article reads that they were trying to live off grid and they died, which doesn't make sense to me because this story sounds really, really weird. It's really vague. No matter what article you read, it's super vague. And when you start looking into it, you're going, wait a second. They had survivalist books. They, according to a family member, they were watching a lot of YouTube videos. They were doing a lot of shit and then pulled the trigger and decided to go into the woods and live off grid. They had a homemade lean-to made out near a fire pit. Then they had their tents that they slept in as well. What no one's pointing out is how in the actual fuck did that happen? How did they die? So unless they ate something, which I'm almost sure they did, they ate the wrong mushroom or plant that either kills you or doesn't allow you to digest your food. Forgot what that plant was. It happened to that guy in that movie Into the Wild, right? So that's the only way. That's the only thing I could think of, because like the average person who's going to live out in the woods is going to, try their best and then go, guys, this shit ain't working out. We haven't eaten in 3 days, or we haven't drank water in 3 days. We haven't eaten in 2 weeks. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go back to society with our tail between our legs, and then we'll try it again. But instead they die. So again, a lot doesn't make sense. They were pointing out the fact that they kept pointing out the fact that they were trying to live off grid and how they failed. They keep pointing that fact out, almost as if they don't want us to do it. But again, that's another theory that I'm not going to get into. But this just sounds too weird. So again, in July, in Gunson County, Colorado, 2 women who were both sisters and a boy who was one of their sons, their last name was Vance. So both of obviously the sisters were dead and the son had died as well. Again, there's nothing saying they died of starvation, just that they were dead. So family members are saying that they were, for months, if not a year or so, getting ready to live off grid by watching, YouTube videos, reading all these books. They had tarps, no traps, which I found interesting. One article said they had one article did say they had snare traps, but no actual traps. But that was it. And then they were found dead, decomposing. So they were discovered in July, but they probably died, I don't know, maybe a month or a couple weeks prior to that. Again, the way the article reads is just that, well, they tried to survive in the woods and they died. Not telling us like what was the reason, or what was not the outcome, or what was the reason for them dying, and what happened. There's nothing. Now, there was no violence or anything suggesting that anything violent happened to them, but just that they were dead. So again, I think they ate the wrong thing. They ate the wrong mushroom, or they ate the wrong plant, and that's why they passed away. But to make it like they were trying to survive off the grid and everything went wrong for them and then they died, it just doesn't sit right with me. Is why I think they have to be a little more responsible in reporting it. So I'm going to try to keep on top of it the best I can, because I'm dying to know how and why they died. So again, I'm leaning on they ate something wrong. They ate the bad something and it just wound up killing them. There was no real food found around them. At least none of the articles reported that there was no animals or anything like that was skinned or taken apart or anything to that nature, or anything of that nature. They were just dead. And the story just doesn't sit right with me, because the thing with me is I love reading stories about like hikers and climbers. They release these books every year or every other year where they tell you how hikers fucked up and how they died, or how mountain climbers fucked up and how they died. I'm dying to hear about how these guys actually died, but it's not because they were trying to survive to live. It's because they ate the wrong thing or they just did something wrong. But again, guys, the normal person is going to sit in the woods for a couple of weeks and go, "Nah, I'm not doing this shit," and leave. It's not like they couldn't have walked out of the woods. They could have. They could have walked out of the woods, got a car, hitched a ride, and went back. But just the way it reads too weird. So anyway, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link of the article in the description section below. You guys take a look at it or just research it yourself. You'll see multiple stories pop up on this situation. But again, it just reads to me like bullshit, like something else happened or they fucked up, but not that they were trying to live off grid. Yeah, she can be like, well, if they weren't trying to live off grid, they wouldn't have died. Okay, you can use that argument. But you use the argument as they did their research before they were going to do this. And again, the more common people would have been like, this isn't working out. Let's try this again later. Let's do this. Or let's do this in increments. Let's try to get out here for 3-4 days and see what happens and survive like that. Then let's move it to a week or two. Then a month. You work up to it. You just don't fucking, buy survival books, tarps and shit and go, fuck it, guys, we're going out there forever. It doesn't work that way. This doesn't sound right. Again, there were family members not suggesting, stating that they were doing their research before they went out there. So for them to have died, they definitely, and at least in my opinion, or my theory, is that they ate the wrong thing that fucked them. That's the only thing I can come up to. Because if it wasn't that, then something else is going on. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.